speaking of format, let me change this so Mr. Harvey can do his thing. I'm going to get out of the way. You've got some scary stories this week, sir.
I have some news, to be sure. And congratulations, of course, to the folks over on the Nope production team. They've crossed the $100 million domestic. I don't currently have the worldwide numbers at this time, but that's not too shabby. And we're not going to complain about that for a horror film release. Not bad at all. And speaking of not bad, Jason Blum has some very positive news about the company that he runs. Blumhouse, of course, doing very well financially, not looking for investment or anything like that. And the success of the company, the chart of the success of the company has been pretty well. Of course, remembering that they got started doing a lot of very, very small films, and they've now become a powerhouse in the industry, so much so that, of course, they're working on the new Exorcist remake. That's going to be directed, of course, by David Gordon Green, who, of course, revived the Halloween series. So, now, in this interview that he had with Deadline, Blum says there's some very exciting things coming up. He says, I'm very excited about Spawn. And as someone who believes we'll get a new Spawn film when I actually see the film open in theaters, that's interesting news. Also, apparently they are still working. We've heard this before recently as well, but he says that they are still moving forward on Five Nights at Freddy's. And this is actually, positive news, willing to go on the record. This stuff is still happening. He also said that, quite frankly, the Paranormal Activity series is coming to an end as far as Blumhouse is concerned. He said it's been enough. There's been enough films. Somebody else can carry it on. If it's going to go happen, that's fine. But as far as Blumhouse is concerned, they're finished with it. He said that if Scott Derrickson shows up and says, I've got a great idea for a Paranormal Activity movie, maybe he'll consider it at that point. But quite frankly, he's not particularly interested in carrying on the series. And quite frankly, can't disagree with him on that. Of course, John Carpenter has some news on the horizon. Now, of course, he's been doing a lot of music stuff of late, including music for the Halloween movies, the current run. He had an interview with the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette where he says that he's very excited about the upcoming final film. Air quotes, it's a horror movie. Final is a thing that doesn't necessarily mean that the same way anywhere else. But he thinks that potentially this particular set of filmmakers might be done with it, but there could continue going on. He does have some projects in the works that he is developing, lined up and percolating, and I'm quoting here, and will involve him flexing his skills as a director, writer, and a composer. Now, the last film that we saw from Carpenter was The Ward. It's been 12 years since that film came out. No official word, but obviously could be something on the way. And Rose Byrne is returning to the Insidious franchise. Now, the last time I think we saw her was Insidious 2. Now, the new Insidious film returns to the Patrick Wilson character, who is the husband of the character that Rose Byrne plays. So she is returning as well. And of course, this involves their kid going off to college and, the bad things happening. Josh Lambert is the character Patrick Wilson is playing, and he takes his son off to college, but that doesn't help him escape the demons of his past. July 7th, 2023 is the currently planned release date for that film. And we've heard a little bit about Lisa Frankenstein coming out. Now we have a little bit more about the cast. Carla Gugino, Liza Soberano, Joe Chrest, Henry Elkenberry are all joined the cast. And of course, Carla has had a long history in just genre as well as a ton of other stuff. She's 100 films on her resume. This is set in 1989. The premise here is that Lisa, who is not a popular high school student, reanimates a handsome Victorian corpse through the power of the tanning bed in her garage, manages to revive this ancient guy. Clearly, we're in romantic comedy horror territory here. We don't have a lot of more information about the plot, or who these folks are actually playing. Now, of course, this is coming from Diablo. Cody is the writer on this, and it has already started in production in New Orleans. So obviously, we'll have more news about that as it develops. But I'm liking the cast so far. And Stephen King's Regulators is getting a film adaptation. Bohemia Group has optioned the film rights. George Cohen is going to be directing this. Now, this is a Western horror thriller, which is the companion novel or the Mare novel to Stephen King's Desperation. Now, this is something that we've actually seen Desperation make it to a adaptation on television. But it's the story of a peaceful suburban town, a little bit of, everything's fine on Poplar Street in Wentworth, Ohio, until 4 vans with shotgun-wielding regulators start to terrorize the residents, and then the town starts to turn into a child's version of a Western landscape, and it's very, very bad. So we'll have to see. Of course, Stephen King adaptations can be really fantastic, or not so much. We'll have to wait and see how this develops. And the long road to getting another Friday the 13th film may be coming to an end. There's a possibility, there is rumor here, and it's all rumor at this point. We've heard this sort of thing before, but the legal battles, as they have progressed for Friday the 13th, may have been resolved enough. I think there's still some stuff out in the world dealing with this nonsense, but we may have gotten to the point where it's actually closer. Roy Lee, who's a producer in the horror world, had a conversation with the folks over at the Boo Crew for Bloody Disgusting, and he said, when it comes to Friday the 13th, that one is something I would love to talk about. You may be hearing something by the year's end on that front. All right. So May is the operative word. We'll have to see. Fingers crossed. It's not my favorite horror franchise, but I know that it has a ton of fans, and it has been over a decade since we've had a Friday the 13th film. And it's be nice to see if nothing else, having all that legal nonsense finally resolved. And if you are a fan, hit the right button. If you are a fan of The Strangers, of course, the first film, very, very popular, very, very disturbing, got a sequel, which you may or may not have seen. It's getting 3 more, apparently. Also, over on the Boo Crew, the Bloody Disgusting, a lot of fun news coming out of that particular podcast right now. 3 more films have been lined up, including one that's probably going to be directed by Renny Harlin. Of course, he did Nightmare on Elm Street 4, Deep Blue Sea, Exorcist, The Beginning. I don't know how you feel about that. But that particular set of films is on the way. We don't have actual dates on this, but apparently some of the stuff is moving forward into production. So there's a lot coming in this particular series of home invasion films. We'll have to see what plays out with that. And Bloody Disgusting again. You guys are busy. I've teamed up with Screambox to bring Terrifier 2. It's coming to theaters before it arrives on Screambox. It is currently getting ready. And this is if you've not checked out the first Terrifier, it's a lot of fun, and it definitely inspired a lot of fans. So a lot of folks who are excited about this coming back. But it's first going to be premiered at UK Frightfest. It is going to be August 25th to August 29th. Should you find yourself in the UK, Monday, August 29th, and tickets are available should you happen to be over there and want to make it to the premiere. And don't F in the Woods 2 special edition Blu-ray is on the way. Now, of course, it is definitely a little bit of horror comedy. And camp counselors in horror movies. It's not going to be fun for them, but probably a lot of fun for us. Now, this is a 2016 cult hit with the original, and some of the original cast is returning for this. It's going to hit digital on October 11th of this year, and there's going to be a Blu-ray edition following in December. I'm tempted just to leave this one up here and not say anything about it for a minute. Amityville Thanksgiving. Yep. I don't know what other words there are. There is a plot, apparently, involving couples therapy and the holidays and a sinister psychologist and I guess evil turkeys. It's really hard to tell. It's going to come out. Oh, you can pre-order your copy now. It's going to come out November 8th.
I don't know, Tim. It sounds like a real turkey to me.
I think it's just, this whole thing is just foul. On the other hand, there is a 5-movie collection of Phantasm coming out on September 27th. Well Go USA. It's available for pre-order. It's only $26.99. This is something I am probably going to pick up. It includes all 5 films of the franchise, 1979's Phantasm, all the way up to 2016's Phantasm Ravager. It's going to have audio commentaries and a few other extras. I don't have a list of that currently, but that's one that I definitely would like to have. And of course, we have one new photo released here from the new Wednesday series. Jenna Ortega sharing this on her Instagram. Of course, she is not alone in this. There's got to look, she have a pretty solid cast, including Yellowjackets' Christina Ricci, of course, who played Wednesday Addams. And she said that she is very flattered to have been asked by Tim Burton to return to the role. It's nice to be part of this next iteration of that character. It's fun to watch. It's fun to see other people's takes on things and what they put themselves into with something like that. Like I said, Ricci is part of the Yellowjackets cast, which of course has its own sizable group of fans at this point. It's gotten a ton of great reviews, and it's a nice little fandom growing. And they're getting ready to start production on season 2. Lauren Ambrose has joined that cast, playing the adult version of one of the characters. We'll have more news on that as that develops. And if you're a fan of the X-Files, Vince Gilligan, who is, of course, was one half of the creative team on that, and of course, the guy behind Breaking Bad, among other things, Better Call Saul, which is coming to an end here. One more episode? He is going to be returning to the creepy space. It's described as both the X-Files, comparing it to both the X-Files and the Twilight Zone. So definitely got some interesting potential here. It's going to be a brand new television series. He's working with Sony Pictures TV, and he's going to start shopping it to the networks. So we'll see what happens. It's not supposed to be a sci-fi drama, though, or specifically a horror show. It is going to be something focusing on the human condition. Similar themes of bending reality while holding a mirror to humanity. So we will see what that turns into. But apparently it's got a multi-series arc with a overarching story. So we'll see what that turns into. Definitely potential there, especially if you're old enough to remember the X-Files when it was new on TV. And we have a few photos coming out, at least not all of what's been released, but here's a few of them, from the Mayfair Witches, which is the companion piece of the Anne Rice adaptations coming to AMC. Of course, Interview with the Vampire is the other big one. Mayfair Witches is a spin-off series that has its own multi-book arc. And here we have Alexander Daddario, Harry Hamlin, Annabelle Gisher stars in this. This particular one. We've got the top photo there is our lead character, our intuitive young neurosurgeon who discovers that she is the heir to a family of witches. We'll have more as this develops, obviously. An American Horror Story 11 is on its way, coming out around Halloween this year. We don't have a title for this series. American Horror Story always has a subtitle. But Billy Lord, Zachary Quinto, Isaac Powell, and Patti LuPone will be returning in the new season. Sandra Bernhard apparently is going to be joining the cast. And Joe Montello and Charlie Carver apparently are also going to be adding. And we're going to get up to at least American Horror Story 13. We'll see what happens beyond that. And if you are a fan of Love, Death, and Robots, a lot of people are. And of course, it came out in 2019, got a lot of great buzz. Volume 4 is on its way. And it is, don't actually have dates on when that's coming back. It's not the May 20th of this picture here, but it's been renewed for season 4. It's on its way, and you can check out the first 3 seasons out there in the world. They're all over on Netflix. And if you want some anime in your world, Chainsaw Man is coming from Crunchyroll this October. It's based on the manga that is written and illustrated by Tatsuki Fujimoto, and this is actually an image from that manga as opposed to the animated series. And it involves a world where demons attack people and you can fight back. And a young man is betrayed and becomes one of the chainsaw men with a chainsaw sticking out of his head and arms turned into chainsaws. And the trailer is out and it's wonderfully gory. And if that is your thing, then it is on its way. And if you enjoyed the Hulu Prey film, of course, a prequel film to the original Predator, and of course, it's gotten a lot of positive buzz. So if you want some more, there is a book on that's coming out now, called from Titan Books, Predator: Eyes of the Demon. It's a brand new anthology. Full of exclusive short stories. This is not a bunch of reprints all bundled together. This is all new stuff. And it covers quite a range of locations and stories. And they are set in the expanded Predator universe, coming from the first film and going out, set in the recent past, the present, and the future. These edge-of-your-seat adventures by many of today's top science fiction and horror authors takes place on Earth and in the dark, unforgiving reaches of space. We've got Stephen Graham Jones, Linda Addison, Peter Briggs, Scott Sigler, Amir Habib, Joshua Pruitt, Tim Lebon, and quite a few other authors involved with that. On the video game side of things, Skybound Entertainment has got more Walking Dead. Walking Dead All-Stars is a new mobile game coming out. It's Come to Us Holdings. Familiar with that particular one? It's coming for both your iPhone and your Android. Pre-registration is starting now. I don't actually have a date on this. But you recruit survivors, allies, and iconic characters from the series involving Rick, Michonne, Glenn, and you all get to fight against walkers. While you register for the game, you can also get a free exclusive font that comes when you register. It's called Survivor's Font. It would be the whole distressed kind of appearance thing that you get from the Walking Dead universe. And exciting news for folks of, vintage video games at this point. Nordic, THQ Nordic and Pieces Interactive are bringing back Alone in the Dark. Now, this is not a remake exactly of the original game. This is set in that same kind of world. And involving some of the same characters, but it's an all new spin on things. You don't have to be familiar with the original Alone in the Dark game or, God help you, the movie. So this is pretty exciting news. I'm actually someone who quite enjoyed playing Alone in the Dark back when it was a video game, brand new video game. But it is a love letter, they describe it as, to the 1990s game. It's coming to PlayStation 5, Xbox, PC, and Mikkel Hedberg, who did the writing for Soma and Amnesia: The Dark Descent, is the writer on this thing. And we also have one of the designers, Guy Davis, who has worked with Guillermo del Toro, has designed the monsters for this. So definitely one to look forward to. And Requiem Online is coming back. It's getting relaunched. It's got a number of improvements and other changes. Now, whether or not that means those changes are improvements is going to be up to you. It's coming back August 25th, so right around the corner. It is available for pre-registration. If you're not familiar with the game, it takes place in a distant land where the Thanatos, the word for death, Thanatos incident has happened, causing horrific monsters to run rampant. Players will seek to quell the onslaught of nightmarish creatures that have invaded the land with a biological weapon. So brand new content. And apparently the things that you liked about the first game are coming back, or the first version is coming back for this. Now, you could pre-register, go to the official website. You get 24 hours of VIP game time, rental mounts, 3 ioxonic gear pieces. I have no idea what those are. 2 ornaments and 1 implant. The 25th, again, this is coming out. It's always more fun to see horror games get out there in the world.
Good Morning Multiverse, Saturday morning at 11, 10 Central.
Only on Sci-Fi for Me TV.